in this video I'll go over the map DE Mirage and how to shot call on it. So we're gonna hop in the server right away. So I'm gonna go over pistol round on T side first. Right, I'll go over T side first, and I'll talk about CT side. So first of all, what I like to do on T side is running an execution at A. The reason I like running an execution at A is because since the CTs are usually, and when I say usually, it means that about 80% of the time you're gonna see teams playing super passive on the CT pistol at A. So they're gonna play CT spawn, connector, and jungle, and they're basically gonna play retake on that side. So when you're smoking off CT, connector, and stairs, you usually get a free plant. And since they don't have rifle, spamming through smokes isn't really that great with pistols. So it gives you a free plant. You can plant for A ramp, and then usually what I like to do is push CT spawn with the two or three pistols and a flash. So what I'm gonna do is buy all the nades I need to show you how this strat would go, and yeah. So when a team plays retake on a site, as terrorists, what you want to do is either have a late flank, meaning a lurker, or push one of the spots they're holding with multiple people on the flash. Because if you all stay super passive in a 5v5, it's usually not gonna favor you. I mean, on certain maps and on certain sites, right? So on Mirage on A side, the retake and in even numbers in my opinion, favors the CTs. Unless you have like 3 or 4 smokes after you've planted the bomb. If you can re-smoke the choke points off, then you'll probably win as T sides, but usually you don't, because you've wasted all your smokes in mid and then for your execution. Another example of a site like A on Mirage would be probably, I'd say, B on train, B on Inferno if you have construction control as a CT. So yeah, sites like that, I find that in 3v3s or in 4v4s or in 5v5s, they favor the CTs heavily. Unless you have a lurker who's efficient enough to get 1 or 2 kills or delay for a really long time, or if you're able to push one of the choke points with the flash and multiple people. So those are the risks you gotta take when you're playing against teams that play retake on those sites, right? If you're at B on Mirage and it's even numbers, it's 3v3, and you got cat control, you don't need to push further. Like, by then, since you got cat and you got your flank, all you need to worry about is basically market, and I mean they're all coming from 2 different angles, so it's all favorable for you guys. So yeah, back to this pistol round. Just want to see real quick. Okay, we're good. So obviously the smoke that everybody know. These are shitty ones. So it looks like so without this huge gap here. So I have 3 people go A ramp. They're gonna throw these smokes at a certain timing. I like doing it earlier in the round. That way the CTs don't have that much information elsewhere, right? So if they push top mid, even like right off the bat, they can't flank right away. Since I'm running my strats right away, so they can't have the side stack fast enough to counter my strat. So that's why I like to run it really fast. I like to run this execution really fast. The other thing is that CTs don't tend to buy nades on CT pistol. So like there probably 1 or 2 guys are gonna have nades, so meaning 2 flashes or a smoke or a nade and a kit, and the other guys are gonna have armor. So you don't really run the risk of getting nade stacked after you smoked everything off. And even if they do smoke you off, it still doesn't matter because it's USP long range, shooting at the edge of a smoke, and they themselves are all smoked off as well. So yeah, that's pretty much why I like to do it right off the bat. So after I've thrown I mean, I'm not throwing all three of my smokes, but after we've thrown all of our smokes and we're about to execute, obviously what I didn't mention is that my remaining 2 players with armor are usually gonna go palace, and I'm gonna have these players. I mean, one of the guys that buys a smoke can buy a smoke take 9 and drop a take 9 for one of the Kevlar player in palace. So you do that. You send those 2 players palace. You usually want them to walk all the way through. And at about 140, 135, you're gonna smoke out A. You're gonna smoke out A. Then you're gonna flash over. That way it flashes the guy CT who's probably on the box toll booth. And then once you don't see anybody close up and these guys have dropped in sight, then you can triple lane stack toll booth or double lane stack toll booth. Then you're gonna get the bomb down, and then as soon as you get the bomb down, you send the 2 pistols that were in palace, who have helmet. You send them pushing CT, and then you have one of the guys A ramp, who have all their nades. They're gonna ball flash CT for them, and then you have those 2 players push CT, take CT control with that flash. And once you got CT control and you've got the kills there, then you can play the post blind fairly easily, right? It's blind for A ramp, or if you've planned right in front of try box, which would be even better because you got CT control. It's blind for A ramp and CT, so you can all play passive or all play aggressive, however you want to do it. And then you win this post blind. So that's about it for pistol round. Other things you can do on pistol rounds is obviously explode on B. That's a fairly common strat, right? You can either smoke the end of tunnels and keep walking. That way you deny the information from the guy who's jumping. And as soon as you see someone, then you have. I mean, actually, what I would usually do if I were gonna run that strat, I would smoke this off. Then I would have someone stay here, and as soon as all my players are at this level right here, I would have this guy flash twice over site. That way we can drop. He's gonna flash again. It doesn't blind us because we're not looking to flash, and then we're all gonna push cat. I'm not all gonna push cat, but like 2 or 3 of us are gonna push cat, and the remaining guys are just there to clean up. That's something else you can do, but like I mentioned earlier, I think the A execution is the more valuable of the 2. Sorry, I wanted to have a clock with me so that the video wouldn't last 30 minutes. So we're gonna go on to a default here. A principle I like to have on every single map is running a default for 80% of the gun rounds, and the remaining 20% I'm gonna run strats off of the information my teammates have gathered and I've gathered from all the defaults we've run, right? So depending on what the info is, I'll just say my B player says that they never smoke it right away, they always jump peek it, and I'll probably have one round my opper go there and like 4 people with him or 3 people with him, and as soon as my opper sees him jumping, whether he hits the shot or not, it doesn't really matter. If he hits the shot, then great, we'll just explode. If he doesn't, we'll just reset, things like that. That's what I'll do the remaining 80% of the rounds, the remaining 20% of the rounds. You can always go for fast explodes on A or B, right? So right away, if you have great spawns for A, you send 3 riflers up A. Maybe the first guy's gonna pop flash, the second guy's gonna do the same exact flash, and this guy's gonna flash like this. Maybe you have the third guy come here, smoke CT. That way it's smoked right off the bat. And as soon as you get out, and you've cleared close up, then you can smoke connector and stairs on the fly and cross the side and plant the bomb. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do for the remaining 20% of the rounds. But let's talk about the default, which is the basics. It's the thing you need to master on every single map. So it's the one thing you need to focus on when you're scrimming, when you're practicing. If you haven't mastered this, you'll never. I mean, your T sides will never be good. So there are 2 different ways. I mean, there are multiple ways of taking mid control on Mirage, and mid control is the default, by the way. It's a default you need to run on Mirage, in my opinion. You need to have mid control. Like I said, for 80% of the rounds. if you do not get mid control. If you don't contest mid, then the CTs can play freely at either sides. You know, they can play 2 in A side, 2 in B side, and then the mid guy just looking at window. Just looking at mid from window, since he's never smoked out, right? So that's why you need mid control. You need those B players and the A player to be split up. As long as they're split up, then you can make the picks happen, and the executes are a lot more effective. So one of the mid controls, I like to run is having it's basically a 1-3-1, right? So I'm gonna have my my lurker or my usually at the extremities on every single map. You want one of your passive aggressive players, right? So if I were to look up to the professional scene, back when Swag was playing, he'd be one of the guys I would put in my extremities. Shroud would be one as well. If we're going into the EU scene, I mean obviously Get Right is one. Flusha is another one. So yeah, it's basically you want a guy who's got a passive mentality, but also knows when to go aggressive, right? Because they're really key and almost in your default, and you know, gathering information and knowing when to take a risk. So yeah, so basically you're gonna send one guy over at A, and you want this guy to play somewhat aggressive, right? You don't want this guy to be sitting in T-spawn, and you don't want this guy to be playing here or some kind of a passive, just looking at pushes. What I like to do with this guy, I like him to be in Palace pushed up, or no, he could be in A-Ramp pushed up as well, right? As long as he doesn't have to peek side, but he needs to know when to peek side. If he never shows himself at A, then he's totally useless. He's only there to make sure that they don't push, and that's not my point. The goal of a default on Mirage is getting mid control, not losing this, but also putting pressure on the extremities. So yeah, you're 1-3-1. Obviously, the 3 players that are going to go mid, they're the most important ones. The default revolves around them and how they play together. So you want to have your 2 entry fraggers, or your entry fragger, and then your secondary aggressive player mid, and usually your opera is going to be with them, or a support player. And you want those 3 guys, right, to smoke a window from T-spawn, and they're going to cross here, and they're going to smoke the end of connect. I mean, obviously, what's going to happen if I were to dissect this, you know, thoroughly, I'd probably say that one of them's not looking at the beginning of the round. You know, they're all waiting for the smoke to bloom, obviously. So one of them's gonna have his back turn, making sure that if the CT's pushed out mid, he's not gonna get blind. I'm gonna have my opera hold this or hold this, and then the third guy he's usually one of the guys. He's usually the one throwing the smoke, so he's gonna be late. And yeah, that's how they would set up early in the round. And then once the smoke blooms, then this guy who's going to be late is probably going to pop flash mid. Everybody's going to swing wide. And by that point, what you want to do is smoke deep connector. Smoke that's going to land here. And you want those 3 guys to walk up cat, right? And peek connector together. And then you want those. I mean, you can do it in 2 different ways, right? It's either you don't take cat control, or you do, right? If you have, like I said, if you only have 1 entry fragger, I wouldn't recommend going cat. But if you do have 2, if you have 2 entry fraggers, then it's always good. So, say you're more of a passive team, you're gonna smoke window, smoke deep connector, and the 2 riflers are gonna. I mean, you can pop flash connector as well. And the 2 riflers are gonna come up here and clear connector and make sure that no one's pushed up, right? And as soon as you got that information, then you can boost window for you can set your lurker somewhere, or you can do what I would usually do. Is I would smoke window, you smoke deep connector, then you have the opera pop flash cat, right? So what the opera's movement here is he's swinging wide, he's peeking cat, he's peeking the corner here. That's his goal. So I'm making sure that he knows whether there's a guy playing corner aggressively, or if there's a guy peeking ladder room. And then as soon as he sees nobody, and he's gonna pop flash for you guys. And you guys are gonna clear this. He's gonna pop flash for you, and you're gonna clear. You're gonna clear cat, right? And as soon as you've cleared cat, you know you've cleared ladder room. That's the spot you want to clear. Then you can do whatever you want. Off of that, if they're still playing super passive, I wouldn't recommend peeking into B. What I would usually do is I would leave my lurker in ladder room, and everybody else would fall back before the smoke, all the smokes disappear, and I would run something. So either I would go mid to B, mid to A, or I would go a full A tick or a full B tick, depending on the picks I got, if I got any. Okay. The second default you can run is doing a 1-2-2. So you're gonna have. Oh, I didn't talk about the other guy at B. The other guy at B is playing super passive. You know, he can play in kitchen. He can play more far back if he wants. This wouldn't be a great angle because operators tend to peek this. He can peek this. So that's what he's doing. He can play aggressive as well if he wants. He can stay here and, you know, smoke this off, smoke the end of it if he wants. But I would recommend for him to play super passive because you usually need as many smokes as you can get to execute late in the round. Alright, so back to the second default. The second default is going to be a 1-2-2. So you still have your A player, and instead of having nobody, oh fuck, god damn it, yeah, instead of having nobody going under pass, you're gonna have 2 people top mid and 2 people under pass. I just want to make a quick point. I totally forgot. When you do a 1-3-1, the sole player at B, his role early in the round is to come here, flash underpass. What the fuck? And clear underpass. That's his goal, and then he can sit here for about 2 or 3 seconds, then he's gonna run back. That's his goal. When you do a 1-2-2, you have your 2 players top mid, and then those 2 at B, and then those 2 are gonna clear underpass. Obviously, it's a shitty flash, but they're gonna come clear underpass, and they're both gonna be by each other's side as they're walking up underpass, making their way up underpass. You know, window's gonna be smoked. And then as soon as they hit this point, you can have one of the players top mid. Well, usually the opera's going to be holding this, so he's holding this. Blah, blah, he doesn't see anybody. Then the rifler can come up if you and pop a flash and connect there, making sure that say the CTs are playing a setup like this. One guy on the stairs and one guy here, which would be a pretty good setup for like early in the round. Then it's gonna allow. It's going to ensure that your underpass players get out safely, and then they themselves, what they're going to do, they're going to peek this, then they're probably going to smoke like this, and then they're going to both swing wide and clear all these angles. And one of the guy underpass has to run back to upper B and look at the B flank, and then the remaining 3 players in mid are going to take cat control. So that's the second. That's the other default. They're both viable. I like the first one better because it's when you send more people top mid, it's much better when you're facing a top mid push because you're gonna have numbers. So say the CTs want to push top mid, they're usually only gonna send 2 people, 2 riflers up mid, and basically you're getting yourself into a 3v2, which is favorable for you. While the second default requires a lot more coordination in terms of not making mistakes, not over peeking, waiting for flashes, what to do when they're pushing top mid, right? So say they're pushing top mid, and then they push top mid, and the window player, I'm talking about the CTs here, and he decides to smoke underpass off, then these guys, they're disabled, they can't do anything. So those 2 guys have to understand that, alright, it's time to just counter flash and get the fuck out. Just play super passive and give them mid control for as long as the underpass is smoked, and have your opera off the cross, right? That's what you want to be doing. So yeah. And if you get a kill, then you can push up and trade the second guy that's going to be there. And then once you get, because those guys can't push out until you guys crossed mid. Because all of these angles are really not good for them. All these angles are shitty for them. They shouldn't be peeking these CTs. They're just gonna get destroyed. Alright, so that's about it for defaults. So off of that mid control, what's really important on a map like Mirage is knowing how to play, is actually having multiple executions and having good coordination when you're executing, right? So if you got mid control and you feel like going, it's not really a feeling, but you gotta understand how the mid player, the CT mid player, is gonna play. So say one round on your default, you went cat room and you peeked into cat room, you peeked window and nobody was here, nobody was jungle, nobody was in window room. That means that they're giving up window room, right? So the CT is probably gonna play here. He's gonna play super passive, and when he does that, that usually means that this guy, I mean, if they have a connector player, he's actually not gonna be connector. So it's either the A players are pushed up, or they're both playing CT spawn. It's pretty uncommon in a 5v5 to see that. Usually in a 5v5, the window player is gonna stay in window, and the stairs player is gonna stay connector. But yeah, you gotta recognize what you're dealing with, right? So yeah, if it's a 5v5 and you got control of all mid control, you got control of mid, the entirety of mid and cat, so you've pushed back the CTs everywhere, and you've denied them all of that information, and you still know that they can be pushed up A and they can be pushed up B because your extremity players haven't died. Basically all they could have done is push A ramp if your player's in palace, and push palace if your player's in ramp. So that's all you gotta worry about when you go back to the side and hit it. So the different executions you can run, obviously this is when you have mid control, those executions are a lot easier to run, because like say you want to go mid to A, I mean you're already there and you don't have to worry about all of these angles, cat and connector. All you have to worry about is really what you haven't smoked off when you're running your execution, right? So what's gonna happen if you go mid to A, you're gonna smoke jungle, you're gonna smoke CT, and then this is where your lurker at A is really key, right? And then you're gonna flash over. You can flash over from mid, ball flash. The fuck? You can flash here, and you're gonna have your opper sit here and hold cat while your two riflers that were mid clear up this, right? And then it's always up to you guys, to the shot caller, to decide whether he wants the lurker to stay top B and lurk, and flank late, or if he wants him to go underpass and go with everybody. That way you got numbers. If it's a 5v5, I would and you want to hit mid to a side, I would recommend not having a lurker and having numbers with you. So I would probably hit connector with 4 people and have this guy by himself. So I would have the opera look at flank while the 3 players run up there. This is smoked, CT is smoked. I mean, you're gonna fight some people. If someone's try box, you're gonna fight him, probably nade stack him. If not, then you're just gonna clear all the close angles, and depending on where your lurker is, you're not gonna be worried about one of the 2 angles, and then as you run inside, you run in sync with your lurker and you clear everything. You need to use your mollies effectively. So good mollies to throw is obviously behind try box is a good molly. You can always molly default to help out your lurker, right? So usually if a CT plays, if he knows that they can be up connector, he's gonna play here and hold this really passively and waiting for the 1 kill, because as soon as he gets the 1 kill, then he can turn around and focus on the connector players with his teammate CT, who's probably gonna run through the smoke or jump onto booth. So you can molly, flush out these spots to help your lurker get out. And as soon as you've cleared sight, and since say you haven't killed anybody, this is when you need to know that alright, so they could be A ramp, right? And then this is when your lurker needs to be aware of it and needs to look at A ramp while you guys plant the bomb for connector and just hold the post line basically. Right. Obviously you can run a mid 2B off of this, so you say there's about a mid 20 or mid 15 left in the round. You say, yeah, we should go mid 2B. Then you're gonna have your lurker out A, walk all the way back to B, and then you can you can probably a good way of hitting mid to B would be smoking this off, and you would have your two riflers, you know, come up here. They can smoke the end of it, or molly it, molly balcony and molly van, and then, you know, flash over and get out. And you have your operator set up cat. Your operator, usually what you want your operator to do is, if you don't want to smoke it, then he's got to peek every single angle, and he's just going to post on one of them. So what I would have him do is usually, if he's cleared everything, I wouldn't want him to look there. I would want him to hold one of these angles, because when your riflers get inside, they're not always going to be looking there. So say that the CT's playing he's playing here. If he ever feels like peeking not peeking this, if he ever feels like, you know, if he peeks this, doesn't see the terrorist, and he wants to swing wide and kill one of these guys, it's always important to have your operator ready to trade the kill. But I would recommend smoking everything off, but not everything, but this and this. It gives you a lot more leeway into the site, right? Your riflers don't have to worry about many angles. Basically, once you're here, you can plant the bomb and have these two guys kill the guy bench if he starts spamming. So yeah, another execution you can run. Obviously, the execution at A that I demonstrated on pistol is something you can run, right? So you got mid control, you set your lurker in the window room, or you set him in ladder room, and then you have your B player walk back all the way back to A, walk and run, right? So these mistakes are really important, right? If you start running here, you're giving away a lot of information. So you want to be walking, and then once you're at this spot, then you can start running if you want back to A, and then once you're at this spot, you want to walk. So say your A player was in Palace, you want to make sure that you have coordination with the mid players when you get into A ramp. So you're probably going to send your operator first to peek all these angles, and the two riflers are going to be trailing him really closely. That way they can trade the kills if they're there. Yeah, and then you're going to set up an A execution. You know, you can smoke. You can do the classic execution and molly under balcony and get out, and then have your lurker who's in a great position, lurking, right, and getting a couple of kills post plant position. I mean, once you're in the post plant situation. So, or you can the other thing you can do is obviously hit B late in the round. B doesn't require as many smokes. You can run and B execute with. I mean, you can just walk B late with your operator in front, and then you can molly balcony and have your operator peek every single angle. And as soon as you see someone, everybody explodes. You can do that. Something that you need to know on Mirage, on T side, is that once you got the B control, you want to take cat control. If you don't take cat control, you're gonna end up losing the post plant. If it's even numbered, when you don't have cat control, it favors the CTs. If it's in a 3v3, 4v4, or you know, if it's in a 3v3 or 4v4. If you're in a 2v2, you don't need cat control, and I probably wouldn't recommend taking the risk of going there. But once you got 3 players, then you need to send 2 of the 3 players of cat to clear it. Or you can push market too, but obviously cat is the safest place to go. If you don't have cat control, then there are just too many angles to worry about when you're defending the bomb. Okay. Let's see if I went over everything. Right, I forgot to talk about controlling the rotations. Like I said earlier, actually I mentioned it for a bit, is knowing where the window player is playing, right? So this is a rotator. You need to know his habits. You know what this is. I mean, these are the things you're gonna be looking for when you're running your defaults, right? When you're looking to play aggressive, to play for picks, you're gonna peek cat room. You want to know where this guy likes to be. Does he like to stay cat room and not peek anything? Does he like to window room? Does he like to leave window room and play super passive? Does he tend to stack B and leave leave connector open, right? All those things are really important to you. That way you can make good mid-round calls when you get an instant pick somewhere, right? So say you get an A pick and you know this guy likes to give up window room, then you know that your ladder room player can just drop, stay in window room, and hold the rotations off from jungle, and you guys can all just walk up a connector, because you know that the second A player plays CT spawn, right? And you just smoke CT spawn, plan, and GG well played. So you also need to know how they play on I mean how CTs tend to play when they're down a guy, right? When they're down a guy, what's usually going to happen is exactly what I said right then. It's either CTs are going to take a risk and push somewhere, or they're going to stack a site. So they're going to give up A, because A is the easier of the two sites to retake. So they're going to have a rifler and AWPer in CT spawn. This guy's going to be looking at window really passively, and they're going to have their two B players, right? This is a stack towards B, by the way. Some teams do that. Some other teams, what they're going to do is leave one guy B and then stack A, right? So this guy's going to stay here, and as soon as the second B player rotates off, he's going to take over window control, and this guy's going to look at stairs. And they're going to have their 3A hold. I can't really get some statistics on what teams, I mean, what pro teams like to do in general. To me, if as a CT, if you have lost mid control and you're down a guy, I would probably stack B. I would probably have two B players. You know, probably not every single time that we're down a guy, but I think that splitting mid to B is something that happens a lot more often than splitting mid to A. So yeah, okay. I think I've made my point about rotations. Okay, we're gonna go on to the CT side. This has taken 25 minutes for T side. That's a long time. I hope you guys are ready to watch a 30 minutes video. Alright, so on CT side, the way you want to be playing Mirage is it's a mix. You want to throw a mix of aggression and passivity. I don't know if that's a word. So you want to have different pushes, right? So you want to be able to push top mid effectively. So have some kind of a top mid push, whether it's smoking top mid and then flashing and then, you know, pushing it, or having your AWPer walk up, push up here and peek it. There are different things you can do. Then you know when your AWPer has a good spawn for Palace, you can run up here. God, I suck. Run up here and hold the cross. And usually when he does that, what I like to do is because him holding this, say he doesn't see anybody, usually you don't want the AWPer to be peeking all of these angles, because they're not. As soon as he swings wide, then if that guy's holding an off angle, he's gonna get a free kill. Like this, he's gonna get a free kill. So you don't want your AWPer to go aggressive, so that's why I usually have a second rifler go up with the AWPer. So I'm gonna hold this angle, and when I don't see anybody, my rifler is gonna come up and swing on the right side and peek all of these angles. And my AWPer is gonna trade if my rifler can't get the entry. That's the thing you can do. You can do the same thing over at B. You can have, say you have two AWPs for some reason. You can have your AWPer, jump up here, and I'll clear this. And he's gonna jump up here and peek the little sliver of an angle that this is. Then you're gonna have your rifler walk up on the right side, and maybe as this guy hits this door, your AWPer can pop flash the kitchen area, and then the rifler can swing wide and decide whether he wants to smoke it or just hold it, or have your AWPer even hold it more aggressively like this, and have your rifler fall back. So you wanna be able to mix things up on CT. You also, if you don't want, there are different ways of contesting mid control as a CT. Once everybody's smoked off, it's pretty hard, but like I said, what most teams like to do is smoke deep connector, so you can play with this and have your AWPer and a second rifler staying in connector with your cat player, right? So everybody's playing kind of aggressive, and then you can play this however you want. So you can have your AWPer hold this angle and have a rifler right by his side, just waiting. He shouldn't be peeking this wide. He's probably gonna peek more of an off angle, or he can play right behind him, right? Just help him out if he's in trouble. Or you can have kind of a late mid control, not mid control, kind of it's just like on B side on Inferno when you want to retake the what's it called, the car control. You can do the same thing on Mirage. It's not as effective because it's got to be right off the bat. So you got to know when if the underpass player is walking or running. If he's walking, then you can do that kind of stuff. So say they smoke window, they smoke connector. Then they're gonna pop flash, and as soon as the smokes, the plumes, and then the flashes arrive, that means that they're at this level right here, and this is usually when you wanna aggress on them. So you can have the cap player flash over mid, then two players here are gonna swing wide. You can do that kind of stuff. If you end up giving mid control, which is gonna happen about 70 or 80% of the time, you want to be able to push the extremities mid round. On a map like Cache and Mirage, say I don't know, there's 1 minute and 20 left in the round, and you don't want to waste your smoke. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna have one of your A player, or both of the A players push either A ramp or palace with a ball flash. You can do the same thing at B. Though at B it's something you're gonna do. You're not. I mean, you can do it. Say the cap player is smoked for you. Then you're gonna waste your smoke as well. On your second smoke at B, you can smoke deeper like this, and then if you're really scared, as the first smoke disappears, then you can pop flash. Making sure that if there is a guy here, he's gonna get blind. And then once you've done that, then you can walk push B, right? Maybe push through smoke, or just hold it more aggressively. Yeah, those are the things you can do, right? So when you've lost mid control, you've lost. Basically, when you lose mid control, you also lose a lot of information, and you want to be able to gain information elsewhere. This is a concept a principle that you need to master on every single map as an in-game leader. You want to be able to be flexible with your calls mid-round, and this really isn't down to, in my opinion, to the in-game leader. It's usually down to one of the dominant personality, I would say, at each side. At each side, he's going to be the one requesting something. So usually you have a player that's going to be saying, "Yo, can you flash me into Palace?" And you need those types of calls mid-round, because in my opinion, on a map like Mirage, playing passive when you've lost mid control isn't viable as a CT. To me, if the terrorist can execute properly, you're gonna end up losing the round more often than not. So that's why you want to be taking some risks and push the extremities. Okay, the last point I want to make as a CT is understanding how to transfer passive play into good retakes. So one thing that you can do, if you've lost mid control and you don't want to push the extremities, or if you have pushed the extremities but you're still playing retake on the other side, the only thing is you've got maybe more people on the other side, meaning that you're ready for a take. You need to know how to play retakes. So the key as a CT when you're playing retake is basically what you want to be doing is not getting killed, but trying to get a kill. Some people may laugh at this because it's pretty much the concept of the game, right? It's getting entry kills and not getting killed yourself. But what I mean by that is you never want to show yourself too much. That way you can get traded, but you want to be able to take a risk that's going to be kind of a low risk and decent reward, right? So say you're smoked off here, and you're the CT player. It's going to be a better smoke than this. It's going to basically, if you jump here, you're not going to be able to see anything. What you want to be doing is, as you're hearing people get into sight, either you want to spam the default plant spots, or you want to be able to flash, and then maybe let's peek toll booth. That is a risk, right? Or you can flash deeper. That way you blind the guy's A ramp as you're jumping, right? Or you want to be able to maybe smoke right in front of yourself, flash like this, and get out. And make sure that when you're peeking tri-box, you're not swinging too wide, and you're basically you want to make sure that you're getting one for ones, not one for ones, but you're getting one kill, just one kill. You're not overextending. You're not doing these types of things. Other plays that you can make when you're playing really passively is boost 2 people here and just wait for the plan and get a kill. So yeah, when you're playing retakes, you want to be spamming smokes, flashing through smokes, maybe peeking a sliver of a smoke. So this is a common play right here. We're gonna see. So he's either gonna flash through the smoke, he's gonna come here and then try to get a quick kill and fall back, right? So that's a common play that we see pro players do all the time, because they know that if they get that kill, they have a huge advantage in the retake. So I know earlier I mentioned that giving up mid control and then not pushing the extremities isn't, it's not rewarding. The thing I'm gonna say here is that, like I said on T side, when 80% of the time I'm gonna run my default setup. So my default setups on CT side, it's usually gonna be, it's gonna be everything from pushing mid, pushing the extremities mid round, to pushing early in the round. Yeah, that's basically it. And then the remaining portion of the gun rounds on CT side, that's where I'm gonna have maybe a double op set up somewhere, or I'm gonna have or everybody's gonna be playing super passive. We're just gonna play fully retake. We're gonna play just a retake, and those you need to know when to play retake, right? You need to know when to not push an advantage, when to not take a risk. So if you know that the terrorist economy is really low, they don't have that many smokes, mollies, etc., that's when you want to be playing retake. You don't have to take those types of risks. You can play just super passive, and then play with your op. Hold long distance angles with your op, and as soon as they execute on you with the limited amount of nades they have, you can just wait out the smokes because they don't have any more. And if they can't re-smoke the choke points, you're gonna win the retake half of the time. So you want to be able to keep your nades for as long as possible, and for the retake, right? And be able to flush out these spots that the terrorists have to be in, right? If it's a 5v5, the terrorists can't all be in ramp. They can't all be here and palace. At most, there's gonna be two players palace. That's at most. That's if people are fucking moronic. Idiots. It's gonna be one palace, maybe 2 A ramp, one guy looking at ramp, at flank, one guy looking here, and one guy somewhere inside or on the balcony. Someone here, and probably the 5th guy trying to play aggressive somewhere. That's if you're playing against an uncoordinated team, so a team that doesn't like to push further once they get the bomb down, right? They like to play passive themselves. So you know that they're stuck in these positions. This is why retake on Mirage is so easy. It's because you can flush people out with nades. You can molly this, wait out this guy to peek out, and have, as you molly, this guy's going to be holding the same exact angle as you, and you're going to trade that kill or get that kill for free. And then you still have your smokes, right? One of your B players probably still has a smoke, and this is when you want to be smoking a choke point off. You can smoke down deep A ramp, and then have a coordinated retake, right? You need to understand how to retake. You can smoke palace off as well. Then you've naded this. Then what you want to be doing is probably pop flashing and having 2 riflers swing really wide together with a CT player. So they're all in sync. Everybody does the same exact thing. And you have the remaining player who's holding basically the the off angles, right? If you have 2 people coming from CT, then one's running inside. Say you don't have the molly to flush out this guy, then one runs running inside, the other guy's holding palace and deads, right? So say you guys are retaking from connector, even if you smoke palace, you still want a rifler and operator to be holding behind the smoke, making sure that this guy is not going to peek out and get free kills. So yeah, that's how you retake. That's how you need to develop coordination within your team, and to do all that stuff, right? It requires a lot of communication stuff. So I think I'm pretty much done. So this was about a 40-minute video. It's a pretty long video. I wanted it to be 20 minutes, and I don't think I really over talked on any of the points I made. I just think I explained myself a lot, because I feel that as an in-game leader and as an analyst of the game, in a sense, when someone wants to explain something to me, an idea, I want to be able to understand what he says more than just, you know, hearing what he's got to say, right? So it's not just the point he's making is important, it's how he came to that point. That's why you know, I really explained myself thoroughly and fully. I missed a couple of points probably on T side. I didn't talk about fakes, but all of that stuff goes into the 20% of the gun rounds where you don't run defaults. This is when you can run fakes. Yeah. Oh fuck. I forgot to mention something, but it's alright. So thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you found this interesting and helpful.